Adam, when you're ready.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Adam.
Daniel, what are your key factors in deciding your selection for tomorrow night? Do you reflect on Saturday, or is it more about what the players are going to do for you today, this afternoon?
To be as successful as possible, that's the key factor. Yes, we want to win the points. Obviously, you take everything into account. So the performances in the last games, especially obviously the performance in the last game, what happens on the training pitch. Yes, also once you have a busy schedule like right now, to have 3 games within 7 days. Also, the physical data, how well are they recovered after lots of load, or who is really fresh in order to go, not just, or obviously also like the individual experience of a coach is also quite important, and to have a feeling for the players, but also the objective data from our sports science and the analyzing. We analyze more or less each every day everything, and for that you take this all into account, and then you want to have a good choice in order, to have a successful squad on the pitch.
Sam Byron, there would be one in question particularly. You talked about not being ready to do 3 games a week. Would this be a game that he would sit out?
We will see. So I think this turnaround is a bit easier. The last time it was 3 games within 6 days, and then there were just 2 days between the games. This time it's obviously 3 days and 24 hours more. Help a lot. We had also an early kickoff on Saturday, and then on Sunday, and then to play just more or less like in the evening. It should be much easier than the last turnaround. So I would be a bit more concerned about the next turnaround, more like the evening game on Wednesday and then Saturday. Late decision with Sam.
What do you think to the reaction to the defeat on Saturday, Daniel? And does it give you an idea exactly what it's like to manage this pressure? Because it may feel disproportionate to some people.
No, but that's also totally okay. So I will also never get used to lose football games. It's always the same. The next day I don't want to get up. I don't want to speak about football. And if anyone coincidentally comes around, I still want to kill anyhow. So it will always be the same. It was the same 20 years ago. It will be the same in 20 years. And although, we were in the weeks before there with 6 games unbeaten and 4 clean sheets, in this moment, I still want to kill. I try to hide my emotions. Because no one wants to have such an emotional killer as a manager and as a head coach, but it will be always the same. And if I'm honest, I also want my squad and my players to feel this disappointment, because you need to feel that there is no replacement for the winning feeling after the game. And also like that all our supporters and everyone in our club also feels the same pain after a loss. So I think it's quite important to feel this. But then also like in analyzing the game, once you have slept at least one night and then you can calm down a little bit, then also to stay objective and to keep a bit in mind, okay, the players I also know, Roberts, they are just human beings. And yes, it's a championship. After several weeks of really good performances and really good results, we haven't conceded 1 goal in the whole September. I would have loved also on the last day of September to return back with a clean sheet. But sometimes to accept it's football. So we have given away 4 chances. They've scored 3 goals. It was also sometimes a bit tough to accept, but we were also a few percent away from our best possible performance. Not just one player, I would say the whole group, and want to return back to our best performance.
Can I ask, do those murderous feelings and those feelings of joy feel more intense at Leeds than they have anywhere else?
No, if I'm honest, even when I'm on the training pitch with my family, I want to win. And obviously, if I lose a game, I'm always struggling. But this club is obviously unbelievably emotional, and it's great. And this is also why we love football so much. It's all about emotion. You have to have this feeling as a supporter, otherwise you're not a proper supporter. After you win, you have to dream about the Premier League title, and after a loss, you have to fear relegation to League One. So that's what you have to feel, and I don't want to take this away. This is also what we as a club are all about, and yes, and I think after 24, 48 hours, the day of feeling sorry for ourselves and disappointment, sorrow is also away. Right now, we're greedy to add the next point on the board.
You talked about analysing players. We know the qualities of Joe Rodon, and that's a decision you have to make. But what are his figures like, and what are Jadon Anthony's figures like so far? Have they really stacked up for you?
No, I'm really happy with both of them, because it's never easy to come into a new group, and also like, especially Jadon in the end of the transfer window without having a preseason. Obviously, you need a few weeks to settle in with Joe. I think he's settled in unbelievable, because he had to play the first games without being prepared, without a proper preseason, without preseason games, and I think he has done fantastic so far. We had many clean sheets with him. Yes, also a few games where we have conceded, for example at Ipswich. He was definitely there with good performances, but has not reached his perfect level. I think there's much more to come from him, much more potential. For example, when we speak about the yellow-red card, he had to handle it in a different way. The own goal at Ipswich, there were a few incidents where I would say he can even improve. But so I'm totally convinced of his potential as a player. I'm totally convinced of his quality as a player, of his quality as a person, and this is why I was also so greedy to bring him in, because I know that he makes us better as a group, and we are all happy that we have him. The same with Jadon. I was pretty pleased with him in the last games. He always looked sharp, had already a really good goal, and also a few chances when he came in. And it's important that we have depth and that we have options. And I'm pretty pleased with both players.
On Queen's Park Rangers, then, Daniel, obviously not in a great moment. They have won a couple of games away from home. How much stronger do you feel it would be for them to have Jack Colback back, who's missed the last 3 games?
I think he's a really good player for this level, and also respectful, because I think they've, in general, a much better squad than their position shows at the moment. That it's also about periods in this league. They had a difficult start, and you could argue, okay, they are not in the best position, but when you analyze the squad, really good squad. When you analyze Gareth Ainsworth, pretty experienced player, pretty experienced coach on this level, has done fantastic also in his former clubs. I'm quite sure it will be a success over the long-term period. And also when you go a bit more detailed into the analyzing, yes, they're not in the best position, but in their last 3 away games, they've just conceded 1 goal. So they looked unbelievable solid away from home. Yes, and the games where they have conceded at home, they also played a lot in underload situations. So it's then also a bit tricky. So I think, and I expect they're a team who is unbelievably difficult to break, because they're sitting quite often and really compact and disciplined and deep. That's the reason why they just have conceded 1 goal in their last 3 away games. And I expect that we have to be patient, and that we have to be relentless and work unbelievably hard in order to get chances. And what will be crucial is that we're also effective when we are there in finishing positions and clinical, because I don't expect against such a solid side who doesn't allow many chances that we create all 2 minutes 1-against-1 situation on the goalkeeper. So we have to be brutal when it comes down to finishing moments, and this will be the task for the game.
Does the Sheffield Wednesday game help as preparation then for this one, because that was obviously a frustrating experience against a park the bus side?
Yes, a little bit, because in terms of the shape and setup, I would label it quite similar. Obviously, there are also a few details that are different, and I also expect that they are a bit more threat on the counter attack, because against Sheffield, let's be honest, we didn't allow 1 chance till the last moment of the game. So I expect that we also have to be aware of their strength in counter attack. So obviously they have good options and good players also up front, technical players in the midfield, and also good striker options. So I expect that we have to be even a bit more aware of their threat and counter attacks to control all their counters. But in terms of breaking and opening up a side who's sitting that deep, also quite often with 5-man formation at the back, I would label we use also the Sheffield game in order to speak about a few things. Yes.
And when it's obviously you score the first goal in every game, but in a game like this, how do you get the balance between urgency to get that goal and patience in possession?
I think it's exactly the key to stay balanced. To on the one side to prepare our offensive actions and don't force it too much, because otherwise you play in their cards. If you have produced 1 loss of the ball after another because you're too greedy, then you will be frustrated, and then you will also concede counters. So it's important that we stay patient, that we prepare, that we make them shift and make them run and make them work. And it's quite often in such type of games that you have to be relentless and have to prepare and exhaust them physically and mentally in the beginning, and then to take your chance in the second half, a bit like we would have done in our last home game, where it was also quite similar. And then we opened them up after investing so much in the first 60 minutes and scored 3 goals in the last third of the game. But obviously, I would definitely take also like to go and lead earlier, and it would make our life definitely more simple. But sometimes you can't choose. So I expect also a game where we have to be patient, and where we need also our supporters to be patient and help us also like to exhaust the opponent mentally and also physically. Yes.
And do you have any updates on your injured players? Anyone coming back sooner than expected, or how are they getting on?
No, I would say with Willy Gnonto and also Jet Spence, everything is on track. They are recovering nicely, but they won't return before the international break. With Junior Firpo, yes, he will also just be back in team training on the other side of the international break, so no chance for him to come back. Stuart Dallas, who has joined us in team training already in the last days, he had to return back to individual training, so will be back in training. Yes, also in the next days, like I mentioned, so it will last a few weeks till he's then really a topic for selections. All the others, a few little knocks after the last game, but no new injuries, so all of them are available.
Hi Daniel, after a defeat like Saturday's, how do you like to react with the players? Do you change what you do with them on the training pitch? Is there a danger of changing too much? You have to stop yourself doing that?
No, it always depends on the game, so you can't give a general answer how you react after a defeat. It always depends on the performance. If it has to do with mentality, with workload, or there were a few other reasons. So obviously we were all pretty disappointed with the outcome, but after calming down, you have to say, so we played also a side. If you ask any Leeds fan where you want to be, we all want to be on position number 1. So in which league we are ever playing, we always want to be top of the league. Even in Premier League, you would say this. But if you then ask also our supporters, okay, who do you expect to be really in the top position in this league? Everyone would go for Leicester and Southampton, because Southampton is a side who has played more or less a decade on Premier League level. When you have a look at their squad, players like Che Adams, Fraser on the bench, so it's a really proper side, and everyone expects that this team will be also in the top positions come next May. And if you have an difficult away game like this, you also have to expect, okay, you need to be there at your top performance level in order to earn the right to win some points. And yes, we were a few percent away, but it was also not that they played us out of the park. We had more possession, had more shots on goal. Goals doesn't help, because the only statistic that matters is the goals, and obviously, but it was also that what you have to expect sometimes when you have not your best day against a really proper side, you can also lose the game. So for that, we analyzed the game pretty self-critical, also in a few topics, how we want to defend, how we want to attack. We have to add the last few percentage, but it's also not we doubt ourselves too much. We know that we are overall in a really good shape and want to return back to our best shape that we have shown also in the games before.
Is Luke Ayling somebody you'll be tempted to turn back to tomorrow night?
Well, Luke is always a topic, because he's done well so far. So he was involved in many good games. Has also scored an important goal in our last home game, and he's one of our leaders. And due to the workload at the moment, when you have 3 games within 7 days, and sadly he's not 22 anymore, so you also have to keep this in account. And we have also some good players and some good options, and we need all the players. And Luke, like all the others, has a chance also to be re-involved. And yes, he's so important for us as a group, so not just on the pitch but also off the pitch, and we're all happy that we have him.
He's taking too much attention of the league table at the moment, or is it still far too early and the gaps that are appearing?
It's too early, but I still take attention. So because I want to be in the best possible position, but at the moment it's more like, come on, let's concentrate on the contents. Let's concentrate more like on the seeds and not so much on the fruits. So let the table take care for itself. If we make sure that we deliver performances, are good in our defending, are good in our attacking, then the results will come automatically, and then the table takes care for itself. So at the moment, it's not important where you are after 9 or after 10 or after 19 or 20 games in this league. It's just important where you are after 46 games. And at the moment, it makes no sense to analyze after each and every game, after a brilliant run. Right now, yes, we are in the top 6 and we dance on the table. And right now, after a little setback, it's more like to fear for relegation. No, we don't. We are quite calm and concentrated and focused on performances.
Daniel, you talked last week about how Southampton didn't have much time in their bad run on the training ground to put it right. So in a week like this, when you're reacting to a defeat, you have to be really focused in the details you focus on, between a Saturday and a Tuesday game.
Yes, that's right. But our situation is also different because Southampton in September, I think they didn't win a game before. They had 4 losses in a row, and then obviously there is a little bit of a problem, and you want to work on it on the training pitch. For us, it was like we were there 6 games unbeaten, 4 clean sheets in a row. Yes, and there comes this one day when you're not at your best, but it's also that you can draw a line under it pretty quick, and it's not like you have to change everything and ask and doubt yourself too much, and it's not a problem when there's a quick turnaround. It's more the other way around. It's more like you can't wait till you're back on the pitch in order to win the next point, and yes, make sure that you show good reaction. This is more or less the case, because for too much work on the training pitch, there's not much time. It's more like analyzing the game, also like showing scenes and speaking and talking about the details, what we have to improve, and also on the individual level. But it was also not too much work after the last game, because the players were also quite self-critical, and we know that we have to improve in a few topics.
In the early days of squad rotation, a lot of teams would try and probably concentrate on having a settled centre-back partnership and goalkeeper. Is that sort of old thinking nowadays? Is it all areas of the pitch are being rotated all the time? No.
It's always modern if you are successful. And if you want to be successful, you definitely need a core group. I'm not a believer in 11 changes between the games. Nowadays, we talk too much, I think, sometimes about rotation and splitting the workload, and something like this is also for the players. So there's no better feeling than to play each every day. So as a player, you love to play, and you prefer to play instead of spending time on the training pitch. So I think we shouldn't talk too much also about this topic, but it's always healthy also for the competition in the squad, and also to keep players sharp and fresh. If you have options, then also to have a few changes, 1, 2, 3 are sometimes healthy, but I'm not a believer in 11 changes. Obviously, sometimes you have to react once a player is not available because of injury, or perhaps because of a booking or something like this. Or you have to keep in mind when as a bit older player who needs a bit longer to recover, or a player who didn't have a preseason like Joe Roden, for example, or yes, you have an injury history like Sam Byram, to take this into account, and then to have a few changes. But it's always good and healthy for a group if you have a core bone of the starting 11, and you don't change too much. But it also depends on the performances, on the quality of the performance, and so for that it's always good when you're also a bit settled. Yes.
So at this stage of the season, where does Liam Cooper sit in that regard, with regards to his ability to churn out matches on a regular basis?
Yes, Liam is an unbelievably important part of our group. There's no doubt. He's our club captain, and he didn't win this in the lottery. It's more like it's well deserved. And if I speak about a player and also a human being and a person who lives this club, as more or less he's got white blood in his veins, and I'm full of praise so far. So obviously, yes, first goal, he could have saved the death in the last game a bit better, but there were 3 or 4 little mistakes that led to this goal. And when I watch and judge his performances so far, I think he had a brilliant preseason. So when he was on the pitch during preseason, we have not conceded 1 goal. So he was pretty impressive. And then we were there on the first game day, and he sacrificed himself, he sacrificed his body in order to score a pretty important goal, and was injured then in the scene, and we had to play the next weeks without him. He worked unbelievably hard in the rehab, and then he came into the second last game after being out for 8 weeks in underload and difficult situation at Hull into the game, and helped us to keep the clean sheet. And then he started against Watford, and was probably our best game of the season. And we were again there with a clean sheet. So I'm pretty happy with him, and full of praise with him. Yes, obviously it was probably also not like his best day in the last game, but it was more or less like for all of our field players. And so far, I have to say I'm really happy with Liam. That doesn't mean that he plays each every second from now on, or he starts each every game. But Liam, he's more like already a Leeds United legend, and so important for us. And he's a natural born leader, and he will also be a pretty key player in my squad over the whole season.
I just wanted to pick up quickly on Stuart Dallas. He's still very much on track, is he? You're happy with his progress?
Yes, there was a little setback in training, and for that he had to return to individual rehab work. But I think in the next 1 or 2 days he will also return back to team training. And again, it will last a while till he's then really back for team selection. But it's also good that he's that close again, and always good when he's back on the training pitch. Good.
Thank you.